Hi, welcome to Akulmach Live. I'm Kanchan Verma, and today, Monday, and we will be discussing some quick points about the opportunities in the market after this COVID. But before that, I would like to welcome our guest.
Thank you, Kanchan, and I'm absolutely fine. Thank you. It's nice to be back on your show every Monday.
Well, so what we are discussing, what are those crisp points we are discussing today?
I think we are talking about the career counseling, and where we are going to talk about the prospects any candidate can have after finishing the concerned course, whatsoever the person is doing right now in the time of COVID.
So, well, I'm sure that there are a lot of things which are emerging after maybe 1.5 years, because we were at home. Students have, most of the college students are out, they have cleared their exams, and now definitely and obviously they are looking for opportunities. So, what are those industries which provide career for current scenario? What kind of career a pass out should look at?
See, it all depends on what kind of course they are doing, and most of the industry, they are booming back. They're doing very fine. For example, let me just speak about the fashion industry. And you know, the hub of all the fashion designers, it's being the Defense Colony and Shahpur. And the kind of people now you see getting back, the footfall is very high. The designers, they have again reopened their stores and they're doing brisk business. So I personally feel, for example, if you a child has done fashion designing, they have the vast opportunity. They can work with someone, you know, and it is important that you work with someone under the guidance of some renowned designer or the export house or the fashion house, so that you get to learn about the nicks of the business, that how, you know, someday when they become the designer, they are doing the business also. So it is important that how you survive in a fashion industry, which is highly competitive, and especially in a city like Delhi, where there are supposedly more designers than compared to Mumbai. So one should know that how to survive in the garment industry, and where your garments are sometimes, you know, the designers, their garments are exorbitant in the price. So how you promote your garment, how you sell your garment, and at the same time you have to be always on the exhibit your collections on various platforms, on various fashion shows. It's important because the fashion show is a platform where you get international buyers, international export house coming in and looking at your design, and then they give you the bulk order. So this is the right time for any fashion student to survive in the industry, work with some renowned designer, and then can do their own startup, because the government is also giving so much of help for the startup. So if you have a very unique idea, you're thinking out of the box, you will get loan for startups. So this is for the fashion industry. And you know, there are other industries also. Let me say, for example, people who have done mass communication, journalism, it is not the journalism field where you can you are only working. There are other industries also, like wellness and health and hospitality, the education industry, and blah blah, the corporate houses. These days they all look out for a media person, for the media management and the PR people, and the various other people. They those who have interest in various other sectors of mass communication, like marketing, advertising, and business communication, they are getting lots of opportunity right now. And I think this is the time that kids, they should take up some kind of job, some kind of internship, regardless of whatever money they are being paid, because they're going to learn something. Right now the competition is very high because India is booming back.
Well, as you mentioned that now market is opening up, and there are a few new things are emerging in the market, and people should look towards the fashion, which is industry. But at the same time, I feel is that many world-class fashion designers, they are coming and they are using OTT platform. So how you compare? You said that there are opening of stores. So how you really feel that OTT provides a better job opportunities as compared to the physical store which are opening up?
Right. See, right now is the time for wedding in India. There's a season of wedding, and this is, the mentality not in India but otherwise also. The customers would really like to physically touch the fabric when they're spending the money on, the lehengas, the wedding attires, the clothes. Otherwise, they're exorbitantly priced. So people, they actually want to go. They want to give the trial, and then they want to buy. Here the designers, and you can discuss with the designers, these things are slightly missing digitally, because it's a process. You are buying the clothes, it is delivered to your house, then you're trying, then you're getting the money back. So this takes lots of time. So people are physically going out to different stores and they're buying, because you place the order, you give your size, you go back one day, see the trial, take the trial, and then you finally pay the money. And it also gives you different ideas. You can see various outfits, touch them, have a feel of the fabric, and then you can decide for other things also. And personally, believe me, the designers are also wanting people to visit their stores, and people are also going out, because they have stayed in the house for nearly 2 years. It is giving them opportunity. People are vaccinated. So I think it's the time, and business will only go high for the fashion designing industry when people, they visit the stores. It's important for people to visit the stores also.
See, one sector is fashion, which is definitely, it will never be out of touch because of obvious reasons. Then you also mentioned about PR industries and communication advertising, because we require, even in OTT platform also, we require advertisement on a daily basis actually. But there are one industry which I really feel suffered most, that is hospitality and travel industry. So do you really feel that we have an opportunity in these sectors also at this point of time?
Kanchana, you have asked me a very good question. The hospitality and the travel industry does not have much option right now. People are avoiding going for travel, and people, it's not that people are not going for holidays. They are going for holidays, but you will see a particular change that people do not travel very far. They are going for holidays. They are planning their own holidays. They are not taking the help of any outside third party, this outside agency. That the confidence is shaky in people. So they are not really flying. They are not really traveling in trains or going out anywhere till the time things become more better. So travel industry is slightly hit, but people, the students, what they can do is that they can take up some advanced courses. There are certain courses which are short courses. These courses are advanced, but the duration is short, maybe for 2 months or 3 months, so that they can keep themselves abreast with the latest happening. So when the things, they become much better in 2022 next year, they can get jobs. Because anyway, any travel house, any airline, any hotel would want a candidate who's completely prepared. So it is a matter of another 2-3 months, and the candidate should prepare himself or herself for the market. So travel industry is right now slightly taken aback, whether it's hotel industry, hospitality, whatever. It is slightly not doing as good as the other industry. So there's still some time left for it to take a new leap.
As you must have seen that even on social platform, there are many chefs who are organizing their courses. Even I've seen Sanjeev Kapoor is also offering a world-class course and want people to really open up a hospitality joint. Now, is it good for children who are pass out this year? They can take up, especially somebody who is from hospitality sector. take up social media and enhance their business? And also, do you really feel that if children take up any venture online, it will go better as compared to physically opening a hotel or a store for hospitality?
Absolutely, they should do these kind of courses because the cloud kitchen is going to be here. It's going to stay. So this is a very new kind of a thing. So these kids, they should do all these courses because someday when they want to start their own thing, let's call it startup, when they want to do their own business, a small business, a startup, then they have to do the cloud business. So these, you're talking about Sanjeev Kapoor. I have also seen Kunal Kapoor's achar making online classes, and there he tells you also about that how to start your business online. I think this is a very good platform they're getting right now. They should just go for it, learn something about it, and so that they can start their work, because this is the need of the hour, so they should follow it.
Lately I have seen that supply chain has really emerged out very prominently, because everybody was at home and supply of goods and edibles were done very efficiently by supply chain partners. So what I feel is that education industry and supply industry, I think they also offer good opportunities for children. I would like to ask you one final question. What is the message you would like to give to young children who are looking out for a job?
The kids who are looking out for the job, they should take up job, any kind of job which is more closer to what they want to do. If they are not actually getting as per their qualification, then they should always have plan B. It is important for any person to have two plans in life, because most of the time plan A does not kick off. It is the plan B which takes you up. So they should go for the plan B, the kind of job which is more close to their career. They should take up the job regardless of whatever the salary is being paid, because Kanchan, this post-COVID era is not paying you very good salary to none of the people. So whatever salary they're getting, they should take up the job, because the job is going to teach them that how to survive socially at your workplace. Number two, it is going to enhance their personality. Is very important. You cannot always remain a student or a baby. You have to behave like a responsible grown-up citizen also. And number third, it is the importance of the money. It's very important for any youngsters should to know what is the importance of the money. Go out, work hard, earn the money regardless whatever you're getting, because tomorrow things are going to go for a better this thing, the things are going to change, and by that time they'll be completely professionals in their field. So they should definitely take up the jobs.
I would like to request our audience that they should contact us in case they require any advices. We can connect to Ritu Gupta, and they would be able to get a finer advice. So as usual, Ritu, it is so wonderful to talk to you today, and we'll be discussing a very interesting and thought-provoking topic in our next episode.
Thank you. It's very nice to get connected with you. Thank you, Kanchan.
The third issue is with regard to the promises made by this government that they highlighted all the scams of the UPA government, and that's how this government is here. So it's a major issue with regard to how they save their face, because if they say that, hey, I want to enforce collection of 1.76, millions of people will lose their jobs. A lot of CEOs will go behind bars for not paying this, and although the blame also lies with them, because they signed something which is written in fine print, they didn't see it, but still a lot of people will lose their job, which will be very bad for economy, and a booming sector will get a hit, because this is a globally recognized booming sector from India, which is asking for a lot of contracts and a lot of people are working for it. It will get a bad name. Third thing is it will look like that 1.76 lakh crore rupees were a notional figure. So they cannot afford that. So even though the government has changed, in fact, this government has been elected twice already, but nobody is going to collect this money. Government will not collect the money. Now the Supreme Court has got into this and they are saying, hey, why don't you pay up? As rightly said, because the Supreme Court is following the law and what has been signed by these companies between the companies and the Indian government. So that has to be collected. So it's like a catch 22. I think this will continue. My opinion, Vodafone and Idea will continue. They will not file for bankruptcy. Airtel and Reliance will pay part of it to remain afloat, and the matter will continue for some more time before it basically dies its own natural death, or basically in future it will not have any relevance, maybe few years down the line. Until then, we will keep hearing some headlines every 5 to 6 months or during elections that there is a money which is owed by the telecom sector to Indian government. As usual, I will meet you again tomorrow. Bye bye.
Hello, friends. This is Chandrakant from Akulmach Technologies, and welcome to the roundtable, weekly roundtable that we have. And let me quickly invite our guest, our panelists. First is Ms. Farida Charania from Singapore. She is the CEO of Career Zoom.
Hi.
Second is Ms. Kanchan Verma. She is the CEO of Akulmach Technology. She joins us from India.
Hello.
And finally, last but not the least, my friend from London, Mr. Neville Gund. He is the chairman of MindFit Limited.
Good morning, everybody.
So good morning. And today's topic is basically the job situation. And as we all know and concur that the global job situation has completely changed, and the old jobs are not being asked for. The reskilling has been a major subject of discussion today. So the point for us to discuss and probably inform the people and our viewers about the types of jobs now available and the types of jobs that employer needs today. So without further ado, with this topic for discussion, let me invite Farida. Farida, you work with a lot of companies world over, and you are in the business of recruitment. So I think you are the best person to take this as a first question. What is the type of jobs now available globally post-COVID?
Sure. I'm just going to kind of, talk about the sectors which were impacted negatively and then the sectors which are impacted positively. So sectors which are negatively impacted and might take a very long time to come back to the pre-COVID era are tourism, transport, retail, and hospitality. And sectors which actually kind of started getting impacted positively are e-commerce, digital media and entertainment, video conferencing services, health and wellness, healthcare, e-learning, supermarkets, delivery logistics, warehousing, storage, e-commerce, pharmaceuticals, robotics, streaming, and again, the video conferencing services, etc. So now, when we look at the sectors which are impacted positively, let's pick up a few skills which I see very often with my clients and they kind of look for. First of all, they look for flexibility. So flexibility means that someone who's done a certain type of job in a certain environment, is that person flexible enough to actually do it in a different environment? Like for instance, is it very necessary for this person to be sitting in office and doing their work, or they are okay to do it from anywhere, like the way world is today? Technical skills, definitely, because everything that was real estate is now digital assets. So definitely technical skill. Data analysis, because that's a very very important portion of anything that is done in the e-commerce, or anything that has a digital layer. critical thinking, because someone who can actually take a thing and very easily transform into a B thing, and is able to actually very quickly adapt, is a skill that is a skill that employers definitely look for. And of course, digital and coding skills and emotional intelligence, because it's not very easy to work in isolation. So these are skills, soft skills and hard skills, that I see very often my clients looking for.
Okay, great. So I think now we have a clarity in terms of what type of skills are now required by the companies world over. And let me invite Mr. Naval Gund. Naval, actually, you work with a lot of youngsters, a lot of middle management people, giving them training. Your company is, always engaged in many such sorties across the world with many countries. What is your opinion on this subject?
Well, as Farida was mentioning there, it's a long list as ever. It's a huge list. And if we can pull the fragments out of that list that have been important forever, but now all of a sudden they're rising to the top. It's a bit like, we've had lots of milk and here's the cream. And this cream has taken a little bit of time to rise to the top. And we're talking about, fundamentally, we're talking about good soft skills, because these are traditionally what they call transferable skills. Empathy, how to be a good leader, which is somewhat different from empathy, as people seem to be calling it. How to be a good communicator, how to work in a team. These aren't technical specific issues. These are global issues that we need to get over. And then we've got this massive change. COVID has done one thing. It's taken all of the traditional homes for, well, if I can't get a job here, I'll go into hospitality. There's always been a job in hospitality, no matter where you are, whether it's flipping burgers or it's waiting on tables or it's the maitre d'. There's always been a job in hospitality until today. As Farida said, this one is going to be probably the longest one that will return to some sort of normality. And even then, the job will change, because even before that, the digital arena had come into some restaurants where you literally just sit at your table and you press bits on your table, and actually you're doing the ordering on your table, or maybe on an app. So things are changing quite fundamentally. And I'm going to go back to the very first thing that Farida said, adaptability. We've got to learn to be adaptable. We're not very adaptable, frankly. And people that are looking for jobs are looking for jobs in the old way. I'm an electrical engineer at university. I'm looking for an electrical engineering job. Well, it may not be there. So what else are you going to look for? So that narrow issue, we need to be adaptable. So what skills have I got? We need to ask ourselves the question. I may be technically developed to be a mathematician or a physicist or something, but I need now to know what those skills could do somewhere else. And the obvious place actually is teaching. People are rushing back into teaching because now that's becoming a home for the graduate professional. Never thought of teaching before, but now they're thinking of teaching now. But again, teaching, you can't just, because you got a degree in engineering, you can't just go stand up in front of a class and start teaching, because guess what? It's here. It's digital teaching. And we all know that that's a different arena. So I'm going to focus on this word adaptability, really, because if we don't adapt to the circumstances of today, because they're not going to go back to what yesterday was. So we need to be future focused. So I think my word for the day, word for this session is adaptability. I've nicked it from Farida.
Great. So I think learning from two great leaders, the job scenario is completely changed. And obviously the jobs are created by the university. I mean, the skills are created by the universities so that jobs can be fulfilled. But those jobs which universities are teaching, education institutes are teaching, are no longer applicable. So let me ask this question from Kanchan, because she works with the universities and education institutes. Uh, are these, are these pillars of our education doing enough to create new skills so that the new jobs which are available now can be filled?
Yeah, I will be answering this question a bit later, but I would like to express a few finer points from July 2020. There is a rise in job in terms of Indian market, because there are some jobs in media, there are some jobs in railways, there are some jobs in education. So there's a little rise in job situation, and even pass out students can opt for government jobs like police, though currently in some part of India police is in question, but other part of states and cities, they can opt for this job. Now, coming to the question is that definitely the new skills are required, because one skill which is not taught is flexibility. The second skill which is not taught in school is team building and communication. And as communication also, there are few classes in few schools, they are teaching communication, but not as a hard skill, which is very much required, not only in India, but across the world. So these few skills are required, a part of technical knowledge, where student is taught maybe coding, but he should be good in maths also. If one student is good in maths, he should also be good in doing online drawing, or maybe something like Doodle, where he can express, I can make these images and incorporate in presentation that gives a kind of substantial rise in the career. And apart of this, I also feel that though jobs are available, as one of the companies like Tata company uh, a few week back said that firing will not solve the problem. So in this case, companies are also adjusting themselves, and they have come to the conclusion that firing will not help, because we need manpower to really pursue whatever manufacturing or servicing business are going on. So now companies are also realizing, and what I feel is that now companies are hiring people with multiple skills. And in colleges and in schools, I think this is a high time when these skills should be taught, so that we can take up smart professionals and hire good employees for the company for the progress.
So thank you, Kanchan. So as far as my knowledge goes about the market here, by and large, I feel that the jobs which are available now are in 3 to 4 categories, where jobs are still available in abundance. And those categories are communication. So if you are a smart communicator, there is a job for you in the market. Companies are looking for these smart communicators. If you are in AI, then the jobs are available, because there are a lot of work happening in AI. The humans will be eventually replaced by AI in some of these mundane jobs, and there is a lot of development happening in that area. And the first job is in terms of transformation, because with all these transformation, the organization also required specialists who can actually take the organization on this path. So it's very easy to say that, hey, the world has changed, it's new normal, but who's going to take that new normal ahead without disrupting the business as much as possible? So these are the three different jobs which are in high demand at this point in time. So I leave the floor open to take your comments on this.
I'll take this. So I'm just going to pick up from where CK was just talking about. Let me try to give it some kind of a structure. Whatever the future brings, the workers who adapt will remain the most relevant. So, what do we take away from this? Adapt. Now, skills, communication, for instance, like CK was mentioning. So, we are talking about customer relations, AI. So, you're talking about digital skills, coding, software programming, then soft skills, like Kanchan was mentioning, emotional intelligence, flexibility, digital marketing. These are all skills which are necessary to stay globally relevant. And because of the higher unemployment or people working fewer hours, the impact of pandemic has been felt on all jobs to more or less extent in all countries. Now, where when someone is looking for a job, what is it that we will recommend? So I have a few recommendations here. That firstly, focus on finding a job where you can work remotely, because that could be an important decision to make when you apply for your next role. Again, if you're looking for a job while the sudden spikes of the COVID-19 pandemic remain a risk in general population, it becomes very, very crucial that you look for something where you can work remote or you can work from home. Even if you have to change your sector, uh, don't consider it a permanent move, because COVID is not here forever, but it's going to be there for some time. And once things recover, maybe some years down the line, your preferred industry could make a strong resurgence and could come back as well. But at this point in time, it's very important to focus very carefully on here and now. It is perhaps sensible to look carefully at positions that offer short to medium term security, at least, so you can ride out the worst of the pandemic. And that may mean freelance working somewhere else, or finding a temporary contract to keep you on track for the rest of 2020. So, having said that, the pain is there and it's not going to be all hunky dory. But when you start looking for, jobs, try to look for positions which are either freelance opportunities, opportunity to work from home, and, a structure or a product that can thrive despite of social distancing. That would be my recommendation.
We can't hear you, Kanchan. You need to put your volume on. Still can't hear you, I'm afraid. Sorry. Maybe it's Chandra that needs to turn his volume on.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay,
That's
fine.
it.
Can you hear me now? Can.
Oh, we've lost you again. You see Chandra creeping back in. You can't hide with this, it's live.
Yes, I've corrected the problem which was with the mic. So Kanchan, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was saying that I fully agree with Farida, but I think especially in the context of India, there is around 75% rise, 95,000 jobs are available, especially in government sector, like railways, like banks and finance. So I think people who are opting for government jobs, they have a lot of opportunities. But yes, somebody who wants to go in private sector, they must have skills which are required. That is uh, emotional intelligence, emotional well-being, and of course, a flexibility of working.
Yeah, I think the what we're seeing, and certainly Farida's mentioned it. There are jobs available, and the key thing here is, I think Chandra, you said AI. AI is big business, but the interesting thing, AI, as far as I can see, they need programmers, they need strategists. So unless you have a particular skill in that arena, you there's a lot of retraining that you might have to do to get into the jobs that are currently available. So this is a bit of being smart. The nice thing we've got is something called Google. We can always Google it. What skills are needed for this? What skills are needed for that? This person has said it's these skills. What does that mean? So if you don't understand necessarily the job descriptions that are out there, do some research. You know, if you're looking for a job, you have plenty of time on your hands. The time now is to be very focused in what you're doing. Not to say, I must have a job, I need a job, because that little gremlin that you have in the back of your head somewhere will constantly be nagging away every single time you look at the screen and you're trying to focus. So you need to be laser focused now onto what skills you've got, and then go and trial search. You know, as I say, Google is a brilliant place. You can list down a number of items with a comma after it, and all of a sudden you'll get all the news headlines from what's being said about all of those particular subjects. So this is the time, I think, for those that are struggling in this arena, is to start focused and getting some very good research around you. Remember, the job you're looking for could actually be outside your front door, but it might be, you know, halfway around the earth. It could be 10, 12,000 miles away in a digital arena. A lot of the words that Chandra was saying, there's jobs in communication. Communication is a huge word, and you need to understand what communication is. That's not telecoms, you know, that's not being, you know, plug and play and sticking things into PCs. It's how to communicate your message. A marketeer, you know, there are plenty of jobs in marketing, and all of these marketeers are very good at translating the message that's currently being said into a message that people understand. So you're putting the company directly in touch with their customer base. So now's the time not to be worried about it, not to be panicked about it, because neither of those two things are going to help you. You need to get your mind in the right place, set aside a certain amount of time of day, and whatever you do, don't do it as I see a lot of graduates do. They sit in front of a PC for 6 hours, constantly researching and researching and researching. Now, I'm nearly 62 years old. I don't sit in front of a PC for 6 hours. I'm tired after about 25 minutes of very focused type of research. And I'm no different to anybody else. So take breaks, you know, have a glass of water by the side of your PC. Do the simple things, you know, use a diary, set a timer. If you haven't got a timer, if you're using your mobile for all this searching and you can't put the timer on there, then get another timer. Go into the kitchen and set the timer on the oven so that, you know, it beeps away at you. There are lots of ways you can get around this issue, you know, and stop saying I can't and start saying I can. Because there's opportunity for you if you, and I'm going to pinch this word again, I'm afraid, if you're adaptable. And the sad thing is, not many people are. And that's why, if you are adaptable, I will guarantee you'll get a job. Because there are plenty of jobs out there.
So I think the first thing that people need today is basically understand what is the reality and adapt to it. So I think, you know, you don't want to be like an ostrich, bury your head and not look at the reality around. So I think the reality is very, very clear that the jobs which were available earlier are not available now. And what is new, as Neville said, a job may be 12,000 miles away from your location. So I think time has come to really become digital, find out what are the jobs which are there. For instance, let me throw some examples. You know, if you look at the media business, that was such a thriving business world over, and different kinds of media being sold by everyone, news to entertainment to movies to anything else. and people makes billions of dollars out of this revenue. In fact, it is one of the biggest grosser of the industry anywhere in the world. What has happened now? There are no new movies in the theaters because the artists have not gone for recording because there is COVID lockdown everywhere. So where will you shoot the new movies? So I think there is a gap. People still need to be entertained. How they get entertainment? There is a digital arena which can be used. So the media can be simply shift from that place to the digital space. So I think this is where the opportunities are. uh, there are a lot of opportunities in the marketing arena. There are a lot of opportunities in influencers because the old way of advertising is gone. There is no advertisers now looking at the content because the content is not there at all. The old type of content, the new content, that means new advertisers are coming in. So you need to create the new content, become an influencer, become a good marketeer, digital marketeer, become a media professionals, become an AI, become data scientist, become a transformation expert, or become a good communicator. So I think these are the opportunities which are available in abundance. What do you guys have to say about this?
I think I'll pick this up here. When you talk about artificial intelligence, it's a very broad umbrella, and people start getting worried, oh, my job is going to go away. So, the World Economic Forum actually predicts that about 75 million jobs will be displaced with AI. But at the same time, 133 million new jobs will be created because, end of the day, a machine can do repetitive tasks. At least in my knowledge, I don't think that it will replace humans. It will augment human life. It will augment the human experience. It will take away the work which is very repetitive, monotonous, admin. It will take away that work and give the user data which is actually mined in the proper format for them to take actions. So basically, jobs are not going away. Robots are not going to become they are not going to kind of take away your job. They are perhaps going to help you to make better decisions, to do things which you can do much better if you are engaged. It will not take away the human touch at all. At least I don't think so. Maybe I'm old, but I don't think it's going to happen, at least in the next 50 years or what. So the thing is that there are opportunities. Yes, of course, the pay scales probably have gone down because every industry has suffered. And then, the way you actually deliver your services also changed. Like Chandra was just now mentioning, that entertainment is kind of moved because movies are not being released in theaters. You see all of them being released on OTT platforms. Influencers, yes, advertising is changed completely. In fact, yesterday somebody presented a strategy to me, and it's an advertising firm, so it's actually a PR firm, and they presented a strategy. And I think they've had a very steep learning curve because they have realized that if they give me 100,000 budget and $100,000 of budget, and if they give me the same things which everybody else was doing 6 months ago, I'm just going to listen to them out of respect but not do anything about it. So they came back with some very smart strategies, which was using some of these influencers to actually drive the message, use soft power to attract people, use inbound rather than outbound. So I think that world is changing, and definitely, if the individual is adaptable, again, I'm going to take my word back. If you can adapt to lead, there are a lot of opportunities for you.
You're absolutely right, and the thing is, I'm gonna pinch it again, but don't worry about that. You mentioned the I think the critical part here that we need people to focus on is that Farida's absolutely right. For every job that AI will take, and remember, it's taking the repetitive jobs away, and we know something about repetition. It's boring. Who wants to be boring? If anyone's listening to this and want to be boring, just don't listen to anything else we're going to say, because no one wants to be boring and no one wants to listen to someone that's boring. And that's what robots are there for. AI is a robot. It is doing repetitive tasks that somebody's programmed. So for every job that's taken away, which I say, tick that box, let's get rid of them very quickly, there's probably at least 2, if not 3, that will replace that job. The issue is, the likelihood is, it will be at a more technical level. So I think something that we need to realize is we need to become a bit more technically minded. Now, that might just be using an app in the way the app's designed. So you don't have to go on a university course to be technically minded. You just have to Google something and find out what you need to know to have the sufficient technical skills to get ahead of the curve. There used to be a phrase in business many years ago, and it was about consultants. A good consultant is only there because they're half an hour better than the staff. And if you think about that, you know, I see Farida's laughing there, and Chandra's trying to break a smile, because we've all been consultants and we've all hired consultants. And that's really what a consultant's just ahead of the curve. That's what you're paying for. You're paying for someone just ahead of the curve. It might be a long curve or a short curve, but the point is, that's why they're a consultant. That's why they're the expert. And we will always need experts. The more AI comes in, the bigger requirement there will be for specialists. So if you really enjoy something that you're doing, become the specialist in that particular part. And it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a plumber, an architect, a sculptor, just become the expert. And just picking up what Farida said, this influencer arena, ironically, I was told that I'm one of the 100 top influencers in the world in a particular subject. I've no idea why that's the case, and it doesn't really bother me. But the point is, if you get to an influencer, understand what they're saying and what they're doing, and be the influencer in your specific arena. Because we're crying out for specialists. And the more specialist you become, the easier the jobs will be that are coming out there. You may even create a new area that people haven't thought of before. And then be happy and drive hard on it. Be very focused and enjoy it. One word that as the older we get, the more important this word becomes. You know, I love my job. What does that mean? Because if you don't love it, get another one. Simple as that, really.
To
I'd
add,
like to share.
there are
Sorry,
jobs.
go
There
ahead.
are jobs, and job seeker need not to worry. Just enhance their skills and be positive and have flexibility and adaptability. So they will get job of their choice.
Okay, so I like to just share a funny incident from yesterday. Somebody reached out to me and said, I'd like to have a chat with you. And I know the person, so I said, okay, let's talk. And they actually told me that they are offering a second opinion. So that person has actually made it their business. So they are offering a second opinion for a fee. Quite a novel idea, and initially I laughed, but I was actually thinking, yes, I mean, it is lonely at the top.
It's very smart. It's very smart.
Yes, and it is fairly lonely at the top. I don't have anyone to kind of bounce my thoughts off, because mostly people are going to agree with me if I talk to my team. And I mean, I respect this person, so I wouldn't mind paying to take a second opinion. So people can get very creative and they can find some niches in there. So I'm just saying that the sky is the limit. We are very fortunate to be in a digitally enabled world where we can actually give our services online. You could be sitting thousands of miles away and still be able to do work for somebody that far away from you. So well, I mean, it's not that this the impact is really serious with this pandemic, but some good will come out of it, because very overrated stuff like brick and mortar is definitely becoming passe. So there would be opportunities, and yes, if you need a second opinion, I can do it for a fee.
I think someone might call that coaching, but maybe coaching is a bit historic, but a second opinion. I've heard of people that are offering second opinions, and it made me laugh, because immediately I thought, well, that's a real interesting gimmick. And of course, that's what you've got to do to get into the market these days. You've got to have a gimmick. You've got to have, as someone might have said years ago, you've got to have an angle to get in, bit of leverage. There's all these wonderful words in the dictionary that we can utilize, but fundamentally, we've all got it. It's about time we start to use it.
So great. I think we had a very good conversation today, and learning from the leaders like yourself. It has been a great value to our viewers. I'm sure they will be able to change their job scenario, take some of these tips that we have discussed today, and find the reskilling opportunities for themselves and find appropriate job for themselves. So with this message, I would like to end this discussion today, and I'd like to thank you, all of you, Farida, Kanchan, and Neville. Thanks for your input, and we will catch up next Friday.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Enjoy Halloween.
Bye.
Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out?
Hello friends, this is Chandra from Akulmach Technologies. Welcome to Top Brass. Today we are joined by Ruchika Mehta. She is a well-known personality in India. She represents one of the leading hospitality brand which is recognized globally, and she's joining us now. She is going to share her experiences with the lockdown. Welcome to the show, Ruchika.
Thank you so much, CK. Thank you so much for inviting me in. These are exciting times that we are sitting in. So it's always fun to chat and understand what's going on with every one of us.
I'm glad that you found time. I'm sure even in the lockdown, you must be very busy. You are heading a team. You must be having a lot of conversation going with your team members. So would you like to share some experiences on how this lockdown situation has changed your working environment?
It's actually quite amazing, if I may be honest with you, because I feel that we are working a lot more than what we were working earlier. In fact, that's what we were discussing yesterday. I was discussing with my team. Why does it doesn't feel like a lockdown. It feels like, oh my God, we are working 24/7. We are also forgetting to be able to distinguish between when is it a Sunday, when is it a Monday. So we end up working almost all days. It definitely, to be honest and fair to you, I think it has at some level also increased our productivity levels, because we are not distracted so much. We are not wasting our times on travel commute. So there's a lot more time on hand. And as I lead the communication piece for my brand, this is the time when there is a lot of communication that needs to go. So there is a lot of conversation that is happening. There are a lot of engagement that needs to be done with the stakeholders. So at some level, our work has actually phenomenally increased. So it perhaps is a lockdown for a lot others, but it looks like and it appears, and it does appear to me from my other friends and colleagues that I've been talking to, that the work has really not slowed down. The work is still on.
So the work is still on. That is where the message is. I think most
Yes.
of us are working more. And my comment on this one would be that the lockdown has actually brought us together even more than before. Don't you think so?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it might be a social distancing phase, but I think we are all the more socially being engaged. So socially, I think we have just increased our engagement levels because we have never faced with something like that, right, in our lives. I don't know how it is. I'm sure none of us has, none of our parents have. So it never felt important enough to be so socially engaged earlier. And it feels super important now that we should be socially engaged with everyone, because we really don't know what the life has in store for us. So it's a very different sort of time for us. I don't know how it is going on with you, CK. I'm sure, I mean, you're doing such phenomenal, you're not taking it easy. You're doing all these webinars, you are conversing with a lot of leaders around. I'm sure your workload has equally increased, and you're highly and actively engaging with a lot of people around.
This is a great question. So, what we have done is because we are a quasi IT company, so we immediately transition all our employees into work from home, and we have used the technology to make sure that we are all connected. So all of us sees different windows, and it looks like as if we are working in the office. So the productivity
Yes.
has gone up. But more important, I would like to share as a leader myself. I would like to share some experience that now I'm actually seeing personal life of my team, which I was not aware of, because there's always two parents, the small kids, babies. So all of that is now coming. So this is also creating a new scenario where you're working with your team and you are also exposed to their personal life.
Yes, I agree with you. I agree with you, because you are not seeing them just as a person. Now you're actually seeing them juggling so many things together. And I think this lockdown has also allowed us to appreciate each other so much more. We're able to appreciate each other so much more. We are able to unite with each other so much more. We want to be together. There is so much of support that is coming across, and everybody is trying to understand each other's issues, each other's problems. It's a lovely period at some level, because it's allowing us as humans to really look beyond also work at some level, right? Otherwise, in office hours, you always end up just talking about work, but right now you're pushed to look beyond, which is fantastic. I think it's a great learning for all of us.
Certainly, Ruchika. So let me ask you one another thing. Now we are all
Sure.
under lockdown, and we are all spending our professional time while being at home. So in your community, did you face any challenge or people having some sort of adverse effect on them because of lockdown? Have you noticed something like that?
Thankfully, not where we live. Thankfully, no. I have to also go and say that it's amazing to see that how people are taking the lockdown so seriously. I think it is a fantastic thing. We are known not to really follow sometimes rules and regulations. We do have we are a generation that seems to not be following a lot of things and are rebel. But it is amazing to see that how people are taking this situation seriously and are following and abiding by the rules, which is fantastic to see. I see a lot of people in our community are talking to each other. The neighborhood system is becoming super strong. I also personally didn't know a lot of them, but now I get to see their faces at least, and a hi and a hello that happens across the balconies or the terrace, that we are also there and what is happening. It's fantastic to see that. Thankfully, we do have the grocery shops which are open. We have the emergency facilities which are still available. Thankfully, I don't think in our area the pandemic has yet reached, which helps us, I guess, at some level to not panic. So sure, there are not too many shops that are open. If there were 4 grocery grocery shops, there are perhaps only 2 or 1 which is open. But I do not, I mean, there are people who are hoarding. I'm not going to say that they aren't. I mean, there is all set of people. But as personally, we all are taking also individual responsibilities of not necessarily going out and buying and hoarding things that are not required. I have to say, in our area, which is, I live in the west side of Delhi, the police, I see police coming and patrolling after every couple of hours. I see a lot of, there is no noise pollution really. The weather definitely seems to be in our favor as well. The pollution has gone low, so it's not so bad. It's really not so bad, and I think we are thankful and grateful. I believe Gurgaon is facing a lot more issues, because I do hear from colleagues and friends. I'm thankfully we haven't faced that issue yet. So I would like to believe this will continue for a while. I mean, it's not been so bad.
Great.
How is it at your place? How's it at your area?
Yeah, so we are a community of about 3,000 homes. So we immediately created an app because the biggest problem we had was the provisions, basically, because you have to buy
Yes,
the provisions.
yes,
So we have a supermarket in our community, and their main door is main gate is locked. So outside the gate there are police patrols. So no one is allowed to go out or come in. Uh, the rules and regulation around
Yeah,
who can go out and
right,
come in. So we are following that as
right,
a community.
right,
We have
right.
built an app. We have capped the per day purchase per family to 1,000 rupees, so that there is
Oh,
no
that's nice.
right. So we are ensuring that all of this is controlled by an app. You can book your slot. Each person is given 15 minutes time, and at any point in time, 1,000 rupees purchase you can make. So we are ensuring that everybody get the basic essential whatever they need, and it's also helping us control the crowd in the supermarket.
That's very fantastic actually. That's a very fantastic idea to use technology and to also show that everybody is together in it. It creates that whole homogeneity in this activity. That's a very great idea.
And another thing I will have to share, because I was watching the Prime Minister address in the morning at 9 a.m. today.
Right,
One of the
right.
one of the critical message which I as an individual got in his conversation is he's saying that he's grateful to the countrymen, to the citizens of India for following the lockdown. So which
Yes,
something I
yes.
really appreciate today, because as a leader also he's grateful to
Hmm,
us. So
hmm,
likewise,
hmm, hmm.
if I reflect that on myself, I have to be grateful to my team. So what I'm planning
Yes.
to do is have the last session of the week, because today is Friday, and tell them thank you to all of them to be.
That's fantastic. Yes. Yes. I've been also doing these no agenda calls with them, where we either get ourselves a coffee or a tea and just talk about each other and talk about life in general and the frustrations, because this is also a time when people get into a very, you're just sitting at home and you're not sure what's going to happen. It's the uncertainty level is so high right now. We're not even sure if the lockdown is going to get extended, not going to extend it. There's so much of speculations which is happening. So I think as a community, as a team, if we could do that as leaders with our team fellow members, at least they get an avenue to even speak out if there is something that's really bothering them. And there are multiple issues that are bothering, right? Both at the work level, at personal level. So it's a great idea. I think it's fun. I think everybody enjoys that also, that no agenda call. We're not going to talk about work, but anything other than work. And being grateful to each other for being there for each other in this time and crisis. I mean, one cannot work alone. You need your teams and everybody to be aligned in the same wavelength, in the same similar thought to be able to finish work. So it's a great idea. I think your team is going to like it.
Thank you. Hopefully they will also say thank you to me. Hopefully.
Yes. I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will.
So Ruchika, it was such a great pleasure to talk to you. I'm sure this lockdown is today's 10th day. We have few more days to pass, maybe slightly longer. So we will find another opportunity to talk to you after a few more days to see if things have changed and how things are at your end in your community. It was a pleasure talking to you today.
Thank you so much, CK. I look forward to hearing from you and the other leaders as well. How are they coping the lockdown period, and what are the things that they are doing to keep themselves engaged? It was a lovely session, lovely speaking to you. Thank you so much for inviting me again.
Thank you, Ruchika, and be safe, be positive.
Thank you so much. Same
Bye-bye.
to you as well. Bye-bye.
Hello friends, this is Akulmach Live and I am Chandrakant. Today's discussion is going to be very, very interesting. It's about senior executives validating, cross-checking their corporate health as well as their mental health situation with a well-known global guru. And this has to be done while maintaining a bit of secrecy. So how this whole process works is the matter of discussion today. Before we start our discussion, I must tell you there is a giveaway in our show. Stick around to this very interesting show. We will tell you in the end how you can claim your free gift. Welcome back, friends. And in today's discussion, we want to basically touch upon the very important subject about therapy for senior executives. And to discuss this particular important subject, I have a very special guest in the studios. His name is Mr. Mike Bradley. He is the Group CSO of RHF and Scale Up Arena, and he's joining us from UK. So without further ado, let me present Mike to you.
Good afternoon, Chandra. How are you? Just enjoyed your lunch?
Of course, Mike, all is well. This wretched virus has also started reducing a little bit in India, and we have just started the great Indian summer. The temperature is almost touching 40, so we are enjoying the heat.
Right, yeah, very nice. So you don't need to cook on an oven. You can just cook on the bonnet of your car now.
All we have to do is just step out of the house.
There you go.
So I think the subject is quite interesting, and that is the related to the mental health of the senior executives, and how we all can be therapeutic to our own lifestyle, and how we can improve our mental health attitude towards others. So over to you, Mike. What do you want to say on this subject?
Yeah, well, not just mental health, mental and corporate health. I've been running this session for executives, board members. I tend to do it one-on-one because it's quite a, I also call it the executive therapist chair. It's sort of taking a couple of hours out to take stock. And I think quite often we can get so intent on our concerns in the business that we actually forget to sort out the wood from the trees, as we say. So take stock of where we're at. What are the key things we need to be focusing on? Are we focusing on the right things, etc., etc.? So for me, and I found I've had very good responses to this. And the nice thing is you can do it over the virtual meetings as well. It's obviously very good to do it in face-to-face, but it can also be done online. So we can do this around the world, and it's always been received well. So if you look at my LinkedIn profile, you'll see that people have said various kind things about it, and so yeah, it hits the right spot.
Very interesting, Mike. So can you tell us how does this work? It requires a booking of some time with you, or is it a repetitive process where you have to keep visiting and talking to you for half an hour, maybe once a week or twice a week? How does this work?
Well, basically, there's an initial session. If it's a one-man founder executive, I recommend, obviously we have an ongoing start of an ongoing dialogue, but we start with a 2 to 2.5 hour session. If it's a board of directors, I do them individually because I call it anonymized brainstorming. It takes the politics out of the situation. We talk about the key drivers, priorities, and what they feel is going well, what they feel is not going well, some situational analysis, what sort of things are sort of keeping them awake at night from a corporate perspective. What are the things that they wake up in the middle of the night and think, oh my goodness, I'm not happy about that. So we talk about all those sort of things. The idea being we then come through this sort of what I call the triple I process, which is ideation, thinking of ideas, incubation, and implementation. After the session with each of the individuals, if it's a team, you've got a number of key ideas and thoughts and options, and then we bring it together for a group feedback session if it's a board. And all the responses are anonymized, so nobody can tell who said what. But for example, if there's 4 people and 3 of them are thinking these are the major things that are keeping us sleepless, or these are the best options, then those are thrown back into the mix and sort of helps to sanity check review the tactical, operational, and strategic priorities. And then what we can do is, say, 3 months later, have another either review session one-on-one. Instead of maybe a couple of hours, 2.5 hours, it would just be an hour to review where we were at from last time, hone it. So yes, it basically is booked. It's a booked session. There's a per head fee. And like I say, it can be done face-to-face or remotely. Remotely is more efficient on all sorts of ways. Obviously, it's much as it would be nice to travel to India. It's not possible to do that at the moment, but the session can be run remotely with a quarterly update review. It becomes very much a therapist chair type environment, because once you start talking, you start to get interested and involved in what the person's thinking, what they're doing. You then want to become, get better involved with it. Come to think of it, Chandra, I should do it with you.
I think I can offer myself as a guinea pig to you in one of these sessions, and we can probably record it to demonstrate to people how it works. But I have a very
no. I wouldn't record it. I think it's very much. I wouldn't record it. No, because I think the information that comes out of there is what we call Chatham House rules. So you can say whatever you want in there. It doesn't go anywhere else. I think that's very important.
Yeah, that was my question, in fact. So you clarified. Thanks for clarifying it. And I have another question, which is related to how people start opening up. I think that is the biggest challenge we face today, that people don't open up. So what is your technique of making sure that these senior executives who are well-traveled, well-educated, how you make them open their mind and be frank with you?
Well, I think, apart from my natural charm, you mean? And my modesty. No. Well, the way it starts, of course, the best way is always to start by sort of giving a little bit of personal information, disclosing, like I tell them where I'm living or what I do and blah, 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 a little bit about me to show the human side. And ask them the same thing. So immediately there's more of a personal interaction. But then, of course, the best way to get anybody to do anything is to let them talk about themselves. So, because we're gearing this towards a business angle, it's not a personal therapist chair, so it's a corporate therapist chair, executives chair. So get them to talk about the situational factors, their business, what they do, where they do it, how they do it, what was their vision, what's their mission, get them to talk about that, and then they start talking. Because people like to talk about themselves.
Well, that's true, but many times people just do a lot of chatting, chit-chatting, but they don't talk anything which is of any sense. And because of that, they may not get the value. So I think it's very important for people to be very frank with you so that you can offer them a clear and concise solution. I think that is a challenge, and I'm sure you are having a lot of practice making sure that people open up with you, and it's a closed door environment. Tell me something, Mike. Do you also do this in a group, like unknown people, not a board, but people from different companies coming together and talking? Is like a therapy session?
What we can do, and what I have done, is have the same sort of approach, but talk around a particular subject. So, maybe it would be implementation of IoT in manufacturing. And we can have people to go through a session with a similar structure, but talking about the challenges of that particular environment. And the idea being, again, to ideate, incubate, and implement around that particular focused subject. So that's another way that it can be done on a group basis with lots of different companies. Maybe it's, horizon gazers, maybe it's product specific. You can also do it within a division. So it could be a subsidiary or a particular line of business. It doesn't have to be just the executives or the board. It could be a divisional team. It could be a global team. It could be a product team. You can work it in various ways, and it is, it's a structure that I've put together after years of sort of living this and having the bruises from working in corporate life, to say, well, how, because at the end of the day, what we need to do is find a good way forward. And some subjects are too sensitive to deal with face to face. And we need to do it in a confidential way. So, you can do it in any way, but it's a bit like a brainstorming situation, in the sense you can throw a subject on the table. But I think if you're looking particularly around a team, say in a division, you've got to be very careful of the politics, because one particular member of the team may have it in somebody else, or the politics can play too much of a part in the discussion. So even with if it was a subject, throw the subject on the table, use the structure that I've got to actually go through the subject, that's fine. But I think if it's a division, if it's a team, I still believe it's better to do the one-on-one sessions and then bring it back with a collective review of what has been said. And like I say, if you've got a team of 5 people and 3 people in the room have said this thing, even though it might have been not the leader's chosen strategy, it might be worth reviewing and considering it as a good idea for the future.
Fantastic. So that brings me to the last question, which is how people reach out to you. Is there a web services based appointment system, or they just call you? How does it work?
No, they can reach out to me via my usual email address, via yourselves, via Scale Up Arena. If you go on to scaleuparena.com, you will find and type in executive therapist chair or strategic sanity check review, or even my name, then you'll get the strategic sanity check review come up. There's a contact us button on there. Complete the contact us, and I will hot tail it across to you and sort out your challenge, work with you to optimize your opportunities.
Excellent, Mike. I think this is one side of your offerings I came to know today, and it was very pleasing to hear the methodology and kind of work, which is very, very important and more relevant in today's environment. So I think people who are listening can reach out to us Akulmach, or they can directly reach out to Mike, or they can go to scaleuparena.com and reach out to Mike through that route. So
and what I will say as well, Chandra, is if somebody comes through and says that they've come via Akulmach, I will give a 20% discount on the pricing.
Excellent. So I think this is an offer which if you're using Akulmach as a reference point, you will get 20% discount. So people who want to leverage this particular offer, they can. And Mike, it was lovely talking to you today. It was my pleasure, and probably we can have a session sometime this week or next week. But I'll catch up on our shows at the same time, on the same subject.
We'll schedule a 90-minute, and I'll go through it with you. We'll do an executive therapist chair for you, Chandra. And I'll see those furrow brow release afterwards.
Sure. Look forward to it, Mike.
Pleasure to talk to you as always.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
We have some unique Akulmach memorabilia which will make you look outstanding. The graphics on these corporate gifts are based on the global best business practices. To become recipient of one of these gifts for free, you have to watch this video till the end and provide your valuable comments. Or you can also share your experiences. The person who makes the best comment would be chosen to become a recipient of this beautiful Akulmach gift, absolutely free, delivered to your doorsteps. The winner would also get a chance to be invited live as a distinguished panelist during our next video. What are you waiting for, friends? Please subscribe Akulmach and smash that like button.
Hello friends, this is Chandra from Akulmach Technologies. Welcome to Top Brass. Today, I would like to inform you about the science of immunology and what is the contribution of India as a country or India as a civilization to the mankind. Uh, like we are going through a pandemic, it's a global catastrophe, and we are taking precautions. We are staying in-house in our homes to remain protected because we don't have a solution against the pandemic. But this is not the first time that mankind has seen this kind of a situation. It has happened in the past. In fact, the more popular or more devastating pandemics are well known. There are chickenpox, smallpox, plague, and up to a certain extent polio also, which used to affect the infant and toddlers. But today in India, we ran a successful program and we eradicated all these, at least these known pandemics. But I think I would be wrong to say that we have eradicated them because this was going on even in the past. When the chickenpox used to get, and it also spreads like the coronavirus that spreads, it spreads by human touch. So if some person gets infected with, say, chickenpox or smallpox, the humans started observing that, what happens if one guy who has, say, chickenpox, and if he survives that disease, for the rest of his life, he will never get it. So it's a power of observation that when they started observing it, they realized that because one time if somebody gets infected with that disease, for the rest of their life, that person becomes immune to that disease because the body itself developed the antidote and will not allow that disease to come back again. So in other words, the resilience of the body increases. So this was the observation, and obviously when ancient humans were seeing this, they would have done some experiment. So the experiments done were they take the virus out from in chickenpox there used to be small blisters on the skin, and the concentration of the viruses which are affecting, which are responsible for that disease, are found in that on those blisters. So you take that blisters out from that, which is very infectious, material, and give it to a healthy man, and infecting the healthy man. Now, by doing this permutation combination, we have no record of what was going on, but by doing this permutation combination, the humans, ancient humans, realized that if we give the this disease to a certain person in limited quantity, in certain less quantity, so the person will get infected, but the body will fight that infection, and then the person is sort of inoculated for rest of the life. So he will not fully fall sick. He will probably be he will get a fever for a day or so, and then body will fight because the infection is given in a limited quantity, and then the person is inoculated for life for that disease. So this is like an ancient knowledge which humans gathered, and they were able to come out with a solution. Now, this particular knowledge which they got is was kept very as a closely guarded secret. It was not known to a lot of people, and in fact, in India there is a written documentation almost like 1,000 years back about this. So, for how long this was being practiced, we have no idea. The assumption is it could have been more than 2,000 years old science. And in modern world, we call it immunology. So now there's a lot of talk about finding a vaccine for the coronavirus, and a lot of conversation going on about immunology. But this is not something new. This was going on for quite some time. And only mistake Indians did it, that it was kept as a secret to the high priest only, and it was passed through generation to generation. In fact, the high priest, or the person who was actually who knew this knowledge, how much uh, disease to be introduced in a healthy person in order to inoculate, were being called to Middle East, to Syria, to China, and eventually this knowledge reached China, and from China and India, this knowledge reached the rest of the world. So this is so amazing. When I was reading about and when I was trying to do research before I started making this video, it was so amazing that the human ingenuity is so vast, and it's not something which is related to the modernness or the modern sciences that we see. This was already known from 2,000 years back, and the humans were working on the immune system even without the modern medical systems being available. Even today, the modern science have no answer to this pandemic. What we are also speculating that some people will have, natural ability to fight the infection which is caused by the virus. But we don't have data to back that up, so I will not talk about that. Now I will talk. So this is one information which I thought I'll pass on, where the immunology is not a new science. It's been there. The knowledge of how much and how to do this is already present, at least in certain civilizations like India and Chinese civilization. But I would like to draw another attention, which is more recent. India got independence in 1947, but these issues were there. A lot of people were dying of chickenpox and smallpox because this knowledge was sort of lost because we were ruled by the British, and then before that there were a lot of invasions which were going on. So this knowledge was lost. So a lot of people were dying, a lot of infants were dying, and there were a lot of pandemics in India. So the Indian government decided that they want to fight these pandemics, and they decided to launch a very strong, very well organized programs in the 60s. So a lot of inoculation happened. In fact, in 60s and onwards, the inoculation used to happen door to door. The medical officers used to go and each houses and inoculate people so that they don't get that infection. So 60s there was inoculation. In fact, the technology of giving these inoculation was very primitive, because they had to inoculate thousands and thousands of people, because India has a lot of people. So people who got inoculated in 60s and 70s have the scars on their arm, because that inoculation used to leave a scar. But after that, the government created a complete plan. The population today, which is born after 1980s, do not have those scars, because now it is more advanced, and there is a complete roadmap. When the child is born, up to 12 years or 15 years, there is a complete roadmap of how many shots the child has to be given. So now, in fact, every children that is born after 60 in India is covered by these inoculations. So while we are searching for the cure for the pandemic, but the Indians, because we ran a very methodical and well organized plan, the Indian people, Indian government, right from 60s, they had beaten all these deadly pandemics. So is there a inherent resistance to such diseases which are similar to flu and corona in Indians? We don't know. I'm just saying that Indians may be less affected by this, but we don't have any proof, because the Indian people have gone through various inoculations as a mandatory exercise after 1960. Now let's talk about Iran. Iran is very badly affected. There are so many deaths. In fact, some people are saying that Iran is not revealing their numbers. So I will not get into that part. But Iran is very badly affected, even though they also had the inoculation program, a very well-defined inoculation program. But the only problem is they started their inoculation in 1984, starting with BCG and some of the other things. So their plan uh, took took in effect, or basically effective from 1984 onwards. So anyone who's born after 1984 has those inoculations in and out. So the people who are dying in Iran are basically people who did not go through the inoculation. So the older people, middle-aged people who did not have the protection of the inoculation, are the infection of corona is more severe on them than as compared to people who are born after 1984. Then there are certain countries who do not have such programs, because they have some of the countries have not seen these pandemics, unlike India and the Southeast Asia, where this malaria and all these things are very common. Some of the other countries who do not see these things, again, the corona or this particular COVID-19 is deadly for those countries who do not have the inoculation program against these diseases. So I'm just making an assumption. I'm not making any, I'm not making a theory. I'm just saying that these are the symptoms, because none of us have these symptoms. Doctors are trying to build a medical data about how the things are, how the graph, we are talking about flattening the graph. So this is basically a medical term. But I'm just saying what I've learned after doing this study about why it is affecting certain category of people more than other category. And this is what I thought as my analytics, I thought I'll bring it to you. And with this, I will end this video, but I would like to get your comments, and I would like to get your participation, get your feedback. What do you think? Does it make any sense what I have just said, or you have any of your own theory, which I would like to hear from you?
Hello, welcome to Akulmach Live. I am Kanchan Verma, and today in this episode, we will be talking about yet another subject of public relation. Now, today we'll be talking about very interesting topic, which is a political PR, and we have an expert, Ritu Gupta. So I would like to welcome her. Ritu, welcome to our show. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Kanchan. I'm absolutely fine, and it feels so wonderful to be back on your show again. Thank you so much.
Well, for past many weeks, we are discussing few crucial aspect of public relation, and today we will be discussing about political public relation, which is a very hot cake. So, before we start, I would like to understand for our viewers what you really mean when we talk about political public relation. Do politicians and political party require a public relations?
Yes, Kanchan, the politicians, the political parties, they require public relations, and political public relation is very much popular in India. Let's say from the mid of the 90s to the present time, the two biggest party of this country, they have two different big agencies, and political PR is very much required if you really want to sell off your manifesto to the people, if you really want to gather the public, goodwill for your politicians, for your political party, you have to do public relations.
Well, I have seen many times on television that all political spokesmen and say, no, we are not into public relation activity. We don't advertise because for us, people's goodwill is more than enough. And on the basis of the goodwill and the mind share of the people, we get the votes. So how correct they are?
They're very much being present on various political discussions on different channels. They giving interviews on TV is a very much part of public relations. It's a very much part. And when we do PR, the two big political parties of this country, let's say BJP and the Congress, they have two big PR agencies. I will not name them, but everyone knows about those two big PR agencies. When these PR agencies, they draft plans for them. They draft for 12 months. Every time, after every 12 months, their strategy changes, and then keeping in the mind whether some elections are coming in some state, or whether they are going to take up some new thought, new process, or they are going to take up some new idea to spread among the people. For example, the polio drops. If any political party is supporting any kind of polio drop campaign, if they are supporting Corona, COVID, they are doing something for COVID, they will speak about it, and the public relations, they decide what to speak, where to speak, who all are the good speakers. And when the good speakers, they come on any kind of debate, they are being prepared. They are being told what to speak, how much to speak, and what are the issues they have to stress upon. For example, in 2010, the country was getting prepared. The country was being introduced to Shri Narendra Modi as the future Prime Minister of India. So that time, a big PR agency of England, of UK, it was signed, and that PR agency decided about Leher, Achhe Din. So the Leher, Modi Leher, and the Achhe Din, they were the terms which are being used to promote Shri Narendra Modi. And these 2 points, the two issues, these two important aspects were very helpful in generating goodwill of the public for Shri Narendra Modi. So the political parties are all doing PR. And this is the need of the hour. Why not? You should do PR. If you want to be popular among the people, how would you make yourself popular? So you have to do PR. And it's a very good thing.
Well, what happens for a layman, a person will think, because all politicians, they have a direct contact to the people. They go in their constituencies and they address, and they have been doing for so long. So in a way, it is a direct contact with the people on a daily basis sometimes. Now, with the television and radio and social media, again, they are interacting on daily basis. Now, you said that we started public relations relation in mid 90s or somewhere. But I think the public relation in that sense was always present before that. But what has changed after the social media has come? So what are those few points which were missing because I would like to understand for my audience, because political companies or political parties, they are already with a direct contact with the people. And through that, so in the era of Indra Gandhi, she was in direct contact with the people. But was she following a public relation portfolio or public relation plan? Or now in social media, what has changed now? So I would like to just understand that.
Okay, during the time of Mrs. Indira Gandhi, she was a very popular leader. She was a very popular leader all over the globe, and she was doing public relations. But Kanchan, in 60s and 70s, until the time she was alive in 80s, there was no particular professional PR which was being followed. There was no particular professional PR. But if you say that the politicians, they would visit people, they would visit their constituency, talk to the people, yes, that was being done. But they were doing only during some months, during some limited time period. But now, every voter, the general public is very much in direct contact with politicians on the Twitter, on the Facebook account, on the Instagram, and also on the apps. Some of the politicians, they have their own personal apps also. The government of India has got its own app also. And also the advertisements which are being run, and the advertisements which you see throughout in the city also. So these are all strategy of public relations, which was not there during the time of Mrs. Gandhi. Mrs. Gandhi was very much ahead of her time as far as, the way she would dress up, the way she would talk to people, but that was it. So time has changed, things have changed, people have become more, most of the people, they have smartphones. So the politicians, they are connected to the public through the phones. So the apps are being developed. So the government of India, Mr. Narendra Modi, the defense ministry, all these people, they have got their own apps where people, they can go directly see what they are doing. They can directly question them and they get the answers also. They have got any queries. They want to file some complaint. So they go and do all these things. So this is what public relations is all about. And, all the time now, when we open the apps, we get various kinds of WhatsApp messages also, where we are told about Desh Bhakti, we are told about terrorism, we are told about certain things, certain ideas, certain thoughts, which we never knew about. Why? Because this is all public relations. When we open certain things, we get detailed information. So this is now available to us. If I want to read about certain politician, I can just go read about him or her on Wikipedia, and then I can decide whether I want to vote for him or her. So this is what public relations is all about nowadays.
Well, you see, you are very right. Public relation agencies, and even advertising agency, they have emerged very fast during late 90s and 2000. And now this is a very, very specialized workforce which people hire, companies and the individual hire these professionals, and they are highly qualified professional also in any of the segment like public relation or advertising, even marketing. But now I would like to ask you that though we have a agency, we have a specialized people, but there is a sudden change. There is a sudden transfer of public relation activities, the way we were doing post social media, pre social media, I mean. So what has changed with the emergence of social media? Because I have seen many campaigns being done on social media, and of course physically also the old style is also used when we are taking up any plan of not only the political party but for any individual also, for any film also. So when we are talking about political parties, in view of this, what has changed when we are talking about emergence of social media and public relation for political parties or political leaders?
So the social media now has made people more aware. People have got so much of information. People have different views. Some people, they support certain parties. Some people, they support certain party. They have become more educated. They debate on the issues, and they are very much aware who they want their representative in the government of India. So they're very clear. This is there because all the political parties, they have their websites, they have their speakers, the spokesperson coming on various TV shows. Those things are being run on YouTube also, so you can again see it as many number of times as you want to. And in Delhi, in all the big states, what the chief minister has done, what the chief minister is not doing, it's all available on social media, on different portals, different apps. The working of the politicians have become more professional now. They have become more professional because they know that they can be questioned. So they have become more professional. They are working more like corporates. So it's very good. I think it's a very good change. And you see all these politicians, they have become literate also, that they know how to run their Twitter handles and various other things. In case some of them do not know, they hire the outside agency to do so. So all these people, they have become very much image conscious because whatever said and done, from early 19, since the time the multinational companies, they ventured in the India, people have become more educated. People, they have the power of spending the money also. So this has changed the attitude of politicians also, because they know they can be questioned anytime, and no one wants to be questioned. They want to have good image. So the social media has given power to the general masses, that they can get connected to any person, any politician, even to the Prime Minister of India on various portals. They can just get connected to him and he answers their question. He definitely answers their question. So it is there. So this is what public relations has done. And let me tell you, Kanchan, the political PR is a very professional PR right now. Very, very professional. The specialized people, they are venturing into political public relations, and the good journalists, the famous journalists, they are also in political public relations.
Now, since we are discussing about the political parties and their public relation plan, so I think it is good to ask you that how these plans are made. I mean, how a political party, suppose now UP elections are coming.
Yes.
So suppose for if we had to plan, maybe let's discuss a dummy public relation plan, which we can tell our viewers that how these public relation plans for political parties are, what are the main key factors are taken care when we are discussing or implementing any public relation plan for upcoming election, or otherwise for any announcement of any goodwill gesture which is done by the government.
So like, let's say the Punjab elections and UP elections are coming. And, from last 1 year, we all are facing the difficult times of COVID. So during these times, the social media has played a very important role for Punjab and UP also. People were not going out. They were not much gatherings also. So most of the political parties, they were using their social media platform to get connected to people, to speak to them about the manifestos they are going to launch. Now, from last 4 years, the ruling party of Uttar Pradesh is really working hard so that they can get good chunk of votes. So they are giving stress on Ram Mandir, on different airports, international airports, which are being made in the city. And UP has been rated as the #1 city of the country right now. So this is a PR strategy. UP has definitely become the #1 city in the country, and the ruling party has got an upper hand right now. So I really don't know what's going to happen after 2-3 months when the people will actually go and vote. But definitely this is all PR plan and PR strategies. And the chief minister, his team, his people who are working on the ground level, they have to really work hard to get connected to the people, to give them the right information and collect the feedback from them, give it to the advertising and the PR agencies so that they draft the message, the plan, which can be run, there on different TV channels, on radio, on different broadcast media, newspaper. You have to brainwash people. What is PR? PR is basically image building. PR for people are image consultants. So you have to make image of certain person, certain political party in front of the people.
Well, lastly, I would like to ask you, though, I mean, all plans are all set and all specialized people are there to work on the plan, especially for political public relations, because that is very crucial and it's very competitive also at the same time. Now, there are very important question which I would like to ask you, that there's one PR activity which is being done, but then another parallel PR which is not PR but parallel information which is being generated. We generally say it is a fake news or fake information. So,
Yeah.
so does a public relation really fights at this point of time circulation of fake news or fake information to the public? Is this a task of public relation, or is this a responsibility of public relation? Any public relation agency or party is responsible for circulating a fake narrative or would be charged for that? Is any possibilities there, or any thing any public relation agency can do regarding this?
Yes, Kanchan. Some PR agencies, they get involved in unethical practices, which is very bad. Getting involved in unethical practices is very bad. You should always show good about yourself, but do not, degrade the other political party. But which is being done by most of the people, most of the political party, whosoever they are. But it is a very short phase. Spreading the fake news, it is a short phase. It does affect the people. It does really affect their mind. But then people, they do get to know that what is right, what is wrong. People do get to know, because I see nowadays, I see even a child of 13, 14 years, the child who is in 8th, 9th, 10th standard, do read newspaper. Even the kids, they do their analysis, news analysis. They think, they read news in certain paper, then they see the news on certain channel, and then they think that both the news are different. It's talking about the same topic, but the presentation is different. So they understand what is right, what is wrong. The parents are very much, are friendly with their kids. They do various kind of discussions with their kids, and it's a very healthy thing to talk to your kids about certain things which are happening in the country, around the globe. So people are doing the analysis. They do understand what is the fake news, and public relations agencies should not get involved in the unethical practices. But sometimes they do get involved, which is not right. But then this is happening. This is the truth of the hour.
So that means, in a way, the listeners or listening's mind should be more proactive to really understand between the lines what is being messages being given. And I think time has come that people have started realizing that what is right and what is wrong. So though PR agencies are working, but they are making a good plan for political parties, and most of the time these PR agencies are really cooperating and informing people about the needs of political parties and the good work they have done. And I think it should be told in whatever means. And since social media is there and we are connected through mobile, so the information travels fast, very fast. So in the last, I just want to ask you any last thought you would like to share with our audience regarding a political PR, and maybe do's and don'ts for our audience, what they should do.
Yes.
They should glue to the television whole day, and how it should be, and or they should see the correct knowledge from whatever knowledge which is being circulated. What is your advice?
Okay. So I'm sure that many of your viewers are young kids also, the young students, the youth of country. So if they want to get into political PR, I will definitely suggest them to be journalists first. A good journalist is always a good political PR person. So if you should spend some time in journalism, do hardcore reporting, go do the groundwork, and then get into the political PR. And as for the fake news, people, they should not just rely on one channel or one newspaper. They should read news on different media, and they should analyze the news also. They should know what is right, what is correct, and above all these things, they should love their country. Anything which is going against the country is not right for the country. It's very important.
So, as usual, it was so wonderful to talk to you yet again today. And we'll be meeting again with more thought-provoking ideas and how to utilize public relation in those segments, in those areas. So, till then, bye-bye, and you take care.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Take care. Thank you. Nice talking with you, Kanchan.
Hello friends, this is Akulmach Live and I am Chandrakant, welcoming you once again on the challenge section of our channel. And if you remember friends, I had posted a challenge which is related to a simple mathematical pattern, and we want to solve this challenge today. Although a lot of people replied, because once you crack that pattern, you can crack the problem. So let me go to the whiteboard, and this was a pattern which I had posted, and I asked my friends and the followers to solve this mathematical pattern. So as you can see, there is a pattern involving here in this particular problem, and the pattern is I mean, if you look at it, it is very evident that there is a pattern which is there, and if you crack that pattern, you know the answer. The pattern really is that the numbers on this side are really the numbers which are adding up. So the next problem is that, say for example, in the first line, if it is 3 plus 5 equal to 8, what the pattern is that there is one number which is getting added to this side, and so it is like 4 and 6. So you have added one number to this side. And when you add this 4 plus 6, you have actually 10 as an answer. So how come it has become 18? And that is where the next pattern which is emerging, which is we are adding this 8 also into this 10, and that's how it becomes 18. Similarly, the same thing is repeated in the next line. So you add 1 here on this side, which is 5 plus 7, which is 5 plus 7, but instead of 12, it is now 30. So obviously, as per the pattern, 18 plus 12 is 30, and that is why the pattern is emerging. So any guesses what will be the answer now? Since we know that the pattern is very, very simple. This was very, very simple problem to solve, friends. And I kept it very simple. So as long as people who watch the pattern carefully, they will be able to crack it in 2 minutes. And since now we know, I've revealed that what is a pattern here, let me also go to the solution. So answer is 60. Because 7 plus 9 plus 44 is what you will get as answer as 60. So it's basically a pattern based problem, and I thought I will put this as a challenge. Let me see how many people look at these patterns in day-to-day life realistically, and if you can solve such patterns, there are numerous other types of patterns. If you can solve such patterns, you can also solve your daily life problems. So, friend, let me end my challenge, answer to the challenge, which is challenge 4 today. And I will catch up with you in the next challenge. Until then, I like to say goodbye for today, only to catch you next time.
Hello, friends. I'm Kanchan from Akulmach Technologies, and you are welcome to our weekly show Roundtable. And today we have interesting panel and also interesting subject to discuss. So before I start this discussion, I would like to welcome our panelist. We have Sitesh Srivastav, who is an IT professional. He has a deep interest in corporate training. He's closely associated with radio broadcasting. So welcome to the show, Sitesh. How are you today?
Thank you, Kanchan. It's wonderful to talk to you always and to the interesting and very, very critical subjects at the same time. And I'm well and I'm looking forward. How are you?
Yes, I'm fine, Sitesh. And we have another panelist, Indra Sharma, who is the head of the department of one of the prestigious school in Delhi. And she's also been awarded for the contribution of education by the government. So welcome to the show, Indra ji. How are you today?
Thank you. Glad to be
Okay.
with you.
Okay, so we have an interesting topic that now the rise of coup, the Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative. Now, I think that coup has a similarity with the tutor. Now has around 3 million users, and it is surging tenfolds. So now I think the war is between yellow bird and the blue tutor. So what are your ideas on this, Sitesh?
Well, the moment I heard about coup, I thought my background should resemble a place where there can be a humming of the coup can be heard. And that's the reason you see my background. So, Kanchan, I'm very happy and very interested to know that finally we are getting up with in the world of apps on a national level, where we are able to talk in terms of the same language that the international apps have been talking about. And I think this is just the first step. We have a long way to go, and we should be creating a lot of such apps and reduce the dependence, especially on the security concern from the international apps. And there are nothing and this is something that many countries have done it, and one of our neighbor has done it. So why not us? And this is a great time to have this kind of an app, and I'm very, very happy. Just wanted to listen what you and Indiraji have to say.
So, Indraji, how you feel about switching from? First of all, have you downloaded Coup, and are you using Coup? And if yes, then
Very, very soon I am planning to, I am very much in favor of the Coup app, and I'm very glad that we have come up with something which is similar to Twitter. On Twitter, we are on the Twitter, and but we were able to talk at the like all international level people. But now it will be very nice. We'll be able to talk with the Indians, and all Indians from various society speaking different languages, and more Indians will be able to join on this. And it will be very good when they will get the ideas and their views, and they'll also have a platform. Many were not on Twitter, but now I think more and more Indians will join coup. They'll be more comfortable. They'll be able to convey their messages on this thing. And I'm very happy that this has come up. And we should always encourage such new things which are coming up in India. And we are very thankful that Aprameya Radhakrishnan, he is from IIM Ahmedabad. He has taken the initiative. He has started this, and it's worth appreciating. And we should make all the efforts. All Indians, we all should make the effort to make it successful. We are not in a competition with Twitter, but at least I feel this is something which is made in India. We are closely connected. We feel close that it's good. We are feeling good that something has come up from Indian thing, So, and many Indians, they go out, they are out, then they prove themselves, they do something. But here, one Indian has made the cool up. So it is really we are very happy to we welcome this and already so many have already joined schools, all ministers and so many people are flooding like very fast people, and it will
It's
really
good. Yeah, it's good. I
there may
think.
be some teething problems, but gradually I think things should settle down. We should support. We should very much support. Or as a true Indian, we should support this.
Okay. So now this week, the who has crossed 3 million mark, as co-founder Mayank said. The company is strongly positioning application as a part of self-reliant journey and rides on the growing sentiments and indigenous product and services. Now, Sitish, I would like to ask you, what is the impact of this initiative which is also backed by Indian government? So this initiative, what will be the far-reaching effect? As Indra said, that we are not in a competition with Twitter, but somehow the rise of coup, which I see, is when the Twitter crossed the line of not obeying Indian laws. So this is how, though the company is there from 2020, now there's a surge in this coup initiative. So what do you think about this?
Well, Kanchan, the important point is not about whether Twitter has crossed certain diktats or certain policy matters, or other social sites have done the same. The crux of the matter is that whether social media is going to influence the national governments or international governments in the matters that are internal to those nations. That is the crux of the matter. Whether it is Twitter, or it could be Facebook, or it could be something else, or it was TikTok. So I think the importance of it is about whether these social media tools, who are basically residing outside India, their servers are residing outside of India, where do we draw the line between what is being promoted, what should be promoted, and what is not being promoted? And I think that is where the crux of the matter is. And when Twitter banned earlier former President Donald Trump, that is where I think the governments of the world, they started taking a notice that now Twitter can also ban a political outfit, a political leader. And if that is the case, then it can do that for any other government where Twitter is active. And that was a message that was sent out by Twitter. Similarly, in the Cambridge Analytica case, we have seen that the elections can be manipulated by Facebook or the tools on the Facebook. And I think that is where I think the more and more the governments will have to take a call about the data not crossing the borders, which is very well actually documented and progressed and processed in the banking system. Why it is not being followed in the social media is the question. So that is the political part of it. I am very happy that the Indian IT engineers, software engineers have shown that they can do an app altogether on their own indigenous app made. And that is the capability I want to focus on. Now I don't want to focus on what is right or what is wrong in terms of what message is passing by. I believe that if the systems are defined from the day one what they are intended to do, and when they are coming into any country, they have to take certain orders from the government, whether they are in India or they are in Bangladesh. They have to follow it line by line, and therefore they have to justify or they have to go and contest it. So that is something that is a political debate or an ethical debate or a policy debate. As Indraji says, I am very happy that our engineers are doing such things, and there are other systems as well, and that is something we need to promote it more and more. The other interesting point is that apart from coup, there is some other systems as well, which are there. But yeah, I think the coup has gained very, very good fan following, and it should grow, and we all as Indians, we must support.
Siddesh, the starting of coup is something which I feel is long awaited. So when Radhakrishnan has started, or maybe had the idea of launching this social platform, but I think he had a vast experience, because if you know, he has also founded an online cab booking service, Taxi for Sure, and which was subsequently sold to Ola Cab. And I think uh, all the professionals or IT professional have lot of potential to do wonders. Now we are talking about TikTok, which was banned due to obvious reasons. Then we have again our own social platform, Zoho and Chingari. So I think this is something we are going maybe towards Atmanirbhar application innovation challenge. We should pass through that. And what I feel that that everybody is looking towards India for new things. So now India is all set to provide world maybe more innovative ideas and services to the world. So what do you say, Sitesh, on this?
Well, I think it is, as I said, I am more interested in the innovation part of it. I am more interested in the technology excellence part of it. And I'm more interested in our software engineers doing great things for their India first, and then polish the other systems of the world. I have heard this question many, many times outside India, that your Indian software engineers, software people are great. They do wonders to our system. But what about your own systems? And that's where I am focused on, and that's where I want to be focused on. When it comes to the policy matters, political issues, these are really complicated matters. And we really don't know in this social media times, Kanchan and Indiraji, where are the borders? In the social media platform, we really don't know where is the border. Whether it is in our expression, whether the data resides in India or it is residing in America, we really don't know. And how the mechanism of routing the data is happening, that is also not known. So I am saying that that is up to the policy makers to define it at the beginning, and as they go having more and more popular apps, they should keep defining it. At the same time, social media is all about expression. But how do you express? How far can you express? With all of this, we have to take a very, very balanced view. We cannot take one view because we are not living in 90s. We are living in 2021.
Okay, so
Indraji, your experience, please.
yes, Indraji.
This is actually what happened on Twitter when all that farmer agitation was going on, and so much other people, so much was said against India, and so much was they were trying to disturb the peace of India. So many views were coming, and when we told them that our country government, they gave 250 names to them to block there. They blocked it for a few hours, then they again started it. We didn't feel good. So now at least we feel that we have a freedom of expression. We have an alternative. We have another place to coup now, if not unreturned. So, but we'll be our Indian audience will be on Twitter also for international this thing. It's not that we should ban Twitter. We will be there on the Twitter also. But coup is coup is our own Indian. And it gives me, at least I feel, more and more things should, like all Indian things, should come up. Or IT people, they are really doing well. They are our IIT Roorkee people. I remember during COVID days, how we were not making the kits, the PP kits and ventilators and IIT Roorkee people, professors, they came out with a very nice version of ventilators, PP kits and masks. So within few days they made it. So we have tremendous amount of talent in our country. So when we see our country doing something, we feel good, and it should be encouraged. Why our Indians, I feel, should go out and then they should make themselves success. Why they cannot do here only? They can do something here only.
Okay,
And
so yes, actually, there's lot after 2014, there are many things which are happening in India, and people are looking towards India. In fact, many people who are staying outside also coming back to India, because the happening place on this earth is right now India. So now, when we are talking about the Atmanirbhar application innovation, and we talking about who, that's a very important, I think, a step towards connecting to Indians. And in fact, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also mentioned about who in the Man Ki Baat last time. So I think that is a great platform where Indians are talking to Indians. And who knows that maybe Trump may join who because he's already out of Twitter. What do you say, Sitesh?
Well, I am not sure about that statement. Yeah, and seeing what had happened by 20th of January 2021, I don't want to comment on that part of it. Yeah, and again, if I comment on that, probably somebody would say I am trying to speak into America's internal matters. So more or less, so
No,
yes,
it is not
this
only
is the
about.
whole question.
No. The one point is, it's not only about Trump. There are many leaders of the world may join coup, because
Yeah.
if coup became popular, and I am very sure that it will become more popular, the surge will be higher than Twitter.
Well, I wish that. I wish that, and I think the time is best at this point. And why only Coup? There are other applications also in waiting, and a lot of startup ecosystem is happening in the country. A lot of great applications are being made. Yes, Coup is taking the limelight all of at this point in time, which is very good. And I think since Coup is defined around those micro blogging website, I think let's see how this is used. We should promote it in our circles, we should promote it in our offices, our institutions, and let's start using it. But I also agree with Indira ji when she says that we are not going to leave Twitter, and that's where we are not going to leave Facebook, or we are not going to leave LinkedIn. Okay, but if you see the whole point, it had to come, because in this social media world the borders have become diluted more and more. And that is the reason people, certainly when they click a link to update, when they write something, they don't realize that first of all, where is that going? Is that going to a server residing in Delhi or in Mumbai, or it is going in Montreal? We really don't know. And therefore social media uh, needs to be sensitized. I think it is important, and now it is a great time to sensitize people about social media. It's not just fun, and we don't know when we cross the limits in the fun. And therefore, there are a lot of challenges that we are seeing. Now, freedom of expression, when we talk about freedom of expression, there are so many connotations about it, so many strange thoughts are around it. What is a freedom of expression for each one of us here could be different. And therefore, it is actually, we should go by what the nation says, what the IT Act says, what Section 69A of the IT Act says, and what is happening in terms of legislation. Today we hear that New Zealand is saying that they will ban Google, and they will go out for a blackout, but it is fine with them. They are ready for that. China already does not have Google. China does not have Facebook. In Gulf regions, WhatsApp is not there. So it is a great thing that we have done something, but we will coexist. And therefore this coexistence gives us the best of our democracy. And that's what I feel.
Yes, you have raised a very valid point that there should be sanitization. There should be some rules about this social media, what to put, what not to put, and how to put actually. So, though we have our own Coup social media network, and we also have other social media network which you mentioned, and I think this is a wonderful step forward for especially for India and Indians, that we have our own indigenous developed a social application, and I am proud of it. And with that, I'll just put end to our discussion. And what I summarize um, in this discussion is few valid points, that we have to coexist. There should be rules and regulation for this social media platform. And yes, we are very profoundly happy about our coup. So next time, I think we'll be cooing more than doing Twitter. Bye bye. Thanks for participating.
Thank you, Kanchan, and thank you, Indiraji. Have a great day ahead.
Bye bye.
Who
Welcome.
Good morning, CK. Very sunny morning again.
Of course, we are almost touching 40 degrees today. It's quite hot and humid. Not so humid, it's dry. Humidity level is, because it's too hot, it's about 10%. It's dry and hot.
Lovely. I love that weather. I'll come and experience it. Drift, blow a little my way, will you? Just blow a little. Let me feel it.
You know, this kind of hot blow can give you heat stroke.
True. Oh, I've got a heat stroke. If only the digital world could do that, so we could experience a little bit more. Eh? I'll have to have a temperature gauge in front of me. But in all seriousness, you know, we're moving further into lockdown, and you've got some news, I think, that your Prime Minister gave earlier today.
Yeah, so I'll before I share the news, which the entire India got today morning at 10 a.m., I will like to tell you that I think this is a perfect time for India to test whether the coronavirus can survive in this heat. Because so far, mankind has been waiting for summers, and the Indian summers are here. So we will know exactly next couple of weeks whether the corona survives or not. And then we can tell the world that our assumptions were right or wrong about corona.
Very good.
So I think the news that I would like to share with you is that today is the 21st day of the lockdown, 3 weeks lockdown, which India announced about 3 weeks back. Today, Prime Minister came on TV, addressed the nation, and he said that we have done pretty well as compared to other nations because we were in lockdown, even though we could have done better by following certain stricter norms. So far the Indian cases that we have recorded are 10,000. And the fear is that we have not reached the community spread so far. So Prime Minister and the government of India specifically want this to stop. And they have said that next 3 weeks or roughly about 19 days will be in a much stricter lockdown. It will be total lockdown where you're not allowed to even step out of your homes. And tomorrow there will be complete policy guidelines that will be issued. Today is the last day, so I think tomorrow will be the first day of this stricter lockdown. And my assumption is that I think most of us will have to go through a pool test kind of a scenario where the pool test will be conducted, and if they find corona, then the entire area will get into confinement zone. So I think the government wants to eradicate corona, and it's a very massive fight they have taken, where they want to eradicate street by street. It's almost like a street. They're winning or basically fighting corona street at a time. So that is the plan for next 3 weeks.
Wow, that really is locking down the lockdown. Really, it's going to make life a little more unbearable for some people, especially actually if you haven't got yourself into a routine yet. I mean, I'm hearing around the world, you know, people are not getting into a routine. You know, they're not physically going to work, so that means they're not mentally going to work, and it's difficult. You know, it's not easy, cooped up in, you know, maybe 1 or 2 bedroom flat. You haven't got many places to move around that flat. You look out and there's no activity, but you do hear the birds singing. You don't see aircraft. You can open your windows and actually breathe in some really good fresh air. So even though, you know, things have drastically changed for everybody, we can take the best advantage now of moving forward. And you've got whatever difficulty you've had for the last 3 weeks, you've got another 3 weeks of it, and it's going to be tighter. So let's get ourselves into a real routine. You know, let's start with, I mean, you and I have a regular discussion first thing in the morning. You know, within an hour of me getting up, I wake up before my alarm goes off, because my body clock seems to have done that. So I sort of I'm lying there and I'm snoozing away and I'm waiting for the alarm to go off. I put it on snooze so my wife can wake up afterwards. So it's snoozing away. That's a routine we've had for years. We're not going to stop that. And then I get up, I get dressed, I get washed, have a dress, get dressed, have at least one cup of coffee. As you well know, CK, this is my motivation on the morning. And I have a light breakfast, and then you and I are online because, you know, India's 5.5 hours earlier than the UK. So this is my early morning, if you like, probably before a lot of people are even up. That's my routine. And I'm sure you've got a routine, CK. Pretty similar, I would imagine. Not exactly the same, but you've got a routine first thing in the morning?
Oh yeah, Neville, I also have a routine just like you. I know that I have to finish all my work before I get on to this session, which is starting at 12 o'clock at my time, because it's almost like noon for me. So before that, I need to finish my routine, my work, which involves right now, because we are working from home, so a bit of helping kids logging on to their systems so that they can join their schools, and also working with my office colleagues to see what is pending, stuff like that. So first thing I do is answer my emails in the morning after my cup of tea. So I take a morning tea, black tea. Unlike you, you take coffee, I take tea. and and I then answer my emails. And if I don't do that, my work will get piled up. So I first finish along with my tea, my emails, and I also check the news. And then I start my work at 9 o'clock, talk to a few people and all that. So it's a fairly set routine throughout the day. And so far what I've seen is that I'm working till 8:30 in the night. So I switch off my systems at around 8:30 or 9 o'clock and have a light dinner and then go retire to bed. That has been a routine.
And that's presumably, you know, because as you and I work in this virtual world quite a lot of time, it probably hasn't changed apart from you're now doing it from home.
The work has increased now because there is no more time, so you can squeeze in more work. Unlike previously, you had to plan for your little trip from home to office, then little trip in the evening back home. So, and then little trip to, to the washrooms and all that. So all those things are now reduced quite a bit. So I think there is additional 3 to 4 hours of time now, good quality time which I can devote in my work.
And of course, with your children being at home as well, you know, you're sharing those duties. Those are not normally what you would have while you're at work. So, and I know for a fact that you cycle to the office. So you're losing, although you're gaining that time more productively, you're actually losing that time because you're not exercising. I know that was your form of exercise. So how have you managed to fit in, you know, quite a strenuous exercise, really, you know, good 20, 30 minutes cycle into the office?
Yes, fortunately, I have a gym at home. I built my gym and I have a cycle in the gym. So I paddle for 10 minutes.
So despite the fact your routine has now radically changed because you're not going to the office, you've maneuvered your routine so that it hasn't really changed a great deal.
It has not. But one thing I like to share with you, I think it is, we men can share about this. I think it's a revelation for most men that they can also cook.
I love cooking. It's an opportunity to, you know, throw a few things into a pan and, you know, come up with a new recipe.
Right. That is the additional part of, if you may say so, it's routine. So a bit of cooking. It's like a de-stressing way of, during lockdown, you can cook a little bit, de-stress yourself. cycle a little bit, lift weight a little bit in between. So I think one thing I realized is that earlier I had to finish my gym early on and then get on with my day. Now I'm actually doing it. I work for 1 or 2 hours, then I go work out for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So that's the way I'm ensuring that, I don't get stressed about my work during the day.
That's really good because this can be a really stressful time. Where in essence we're all locked into these four corners. For some people, it's quite a big four corners if you've got a huge property. For others, it's a small four corners. So it's good to break it up a little bit. As you say, the stress. You've probably evened out your stress levels, so that whenever you and I talk, you're never under stress.
Oh yeah.
So and going through the day, I'm sure we all peak at certain points. Some people go up and never come down. They live an incredibly stressful life, but now's the opportunity to get into a little bit of routine and saying, okay, I'm recognizing when that stress is hitting. You know what? I'll go on the treadmill. I'll go on the bike. I'll go and help the children with their, TV watching or something, because again, they've got downtime too, and it can be incredibly difficult. But the point is, you're going to have to break through that barrier. To make the next 3 weeks, because let's face it, we're only halfway through here in India. My guess is we're only halfway through in the UK too, although they haven't really said as much yet. But equally, when we are unlocked, it's not going to go back to everything as usual, the way we were 3 weeks ago. There may be other restrictions on movement. I mean, we call this social distancing here. As you well know, I prefer to call it physical distancing because you and I are socially connecting, so we're not really distancing here. But routine is absolutely fundamental. So get that workspace. You CK and I have our own studies. It may be that you haven't got that luxury of a very dedicated area where you can go and work. When you're finished, you shut the door behind you. You could be working on the kitchen table. You could be working on the dining room table, and all of your family is doing the same thing. So you could have your parents there, you could have your children there, you could have your brothers and sisters living with you. As we know, people have got very cosmopolitan lifestyle and a family lifestyle. So this is now about negotiating your way around your day and their day. There could be broadband, bandwidth issues, certain peaks. I know in certain places around the world, there are blackouts. The electricity systems cannot cope with normal time. So you have to maneuver your way around those as well. Certainly, when I was in India many years ago, that was a feature. There were in some of the cities there were blackout hours, and if the generator didn't kick in, then you got the candles out. The same in the UK. We had a winter of discontent. We had blackouts. We got the candles out, so we knew where the candles were. So this is about, again, that's a routine. There's nothing worse than fumbling in the dark to say, where did I put those candles? You know exactly where you put the candles and exactly where you put the lighter. So this is really an opportunity now to get that routine in place. I can't stress it more, really. It is absolutely paramount that you get up at the right time, get yourself ready for work, start your work, take the breaks, drink water, fluids. You like tea in the morning? I like coffee. I like tea in the afternoon, actually. I don't know why. That's probably just historical. So that's a routine I got into. I tend not to have coffee after about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Does it do me any good? Does it not do me any good? I don't know, because I've not actually tried coffee later on in the day. Maybe now's the time to do it. Change the routine, experiment. Go ahead.
So basically, as you know, Neville, I've lived in 4 or 5 countries before I moved back to India. And so I got introduced to real filter coffee when I was in Africa. And so I have my coffee around 11 o'clock, and that keeps me awake for next 8 hours. So, you see me so awake right now because I had a cup of coffee or shot of espresso just an hour back, and I'm going to be awake till 8 o'clock, and it'll charge my batteries, and the batteries start to juice out only in the evening. And so that's my secret. So I have tea in the morning because I don't want to wake up so abruptly, because if you have coffee in the morning, you will just, wake up in the morning. I just want to ease it down a little bit. And, but, you mentioned about routine. I think it's very important. Initially, when we went into lockdown 3 weeks back, the kids were having a gala time. They said, oh, freedom. They were singing songs. They were watching TV nonstop. And although it was supposed to be their school time, and the schools were shut off, so they felt as if it's a freedom for them. They don't have to get up early in the morning, leave home at 7:30, and be in the school and all that. But I think after a week, they also started getting little panicky, or they wanted more activities. So what we did, we actually forced children to make their own timetable. Because if we give a timetable, it will look like it is being forced to them.
Absolutely.
So we encourage them to write your timetable, but the parents have to vet it. You cannot write 3 hours of cartoon time. So we actually force our kids to write their timetable, and then we basically reviewed it and vetted. Okay, signed it. This is what you guys need to follow. So, we are actually, when they deviate from their timetable, we point towards that, hey, you guys only wrote it, so you better follow it. So I think that's another exercise that we have to do, where how do you do kid management or children management? It's something that we have done. Maybe others can follow the same thing.
Oh, absolutely. And the interesting thing is, you're working with all of your team members, and they're following their own schedule as well. So when you take your breaks, that doesn't mean they're going to take their breaks. So they're following their own routine, and it's really important that's negotiated between you and them. So if you're running a team, understand what their timetable is. Again, don't enforce it. What we're hearing around the world is that there's a lot of enforcement going on. And as you start to enforce, people are saying, well, the productivity is going down. Duh.
Right.
What does that say? Well, actually, enforcement really doesn't work. So don't constantly be on their back. Work to outcomes. Let them work their way how they're going to get those outcomes. If you say, we need to finish this project together, when realistically can we finish? And if everyone agrees, well, we can finish that by Friday at 4 o'clock, great. Let everyone then work out how they're going to do their bit, when their bit is going to be part of it. Because like anything else, this team we're working with, you tend to pass the process on to somebody else. So you do your bit, then someone else does their bit. They may then give it back to you, and you do a bit more. So you're constantly working with this routine, this project time, all the way through your working career. Now's the time to really lock into that and manage it on the project base, not by the hour. Because by the hour really is not going to be, that's an enforcer. That's like, the truncheon on the back of the head all the time. Have you done this? When is it going to be finished by? Give people the latitude. And you never know, actually, because they're so focused on what they're doing, they will achieve a better result in the time frame that they've agreed to do. And remember, it's them agreeing to this. That's how you get engagement. Don't get engagement by poking people in the eye. You know, that's 70s management style.
Right.
You know, the whiplash. But yeah, it's great. I mean, you know, everyone listening, you know, work with your kids, get them to do the timetable. That's what we call engagement. We're not going through the alphabet today, if everyone's noticed. We're chopping around the alphabet, but the key message today is to get a little discipline around what you're doing, get yourself into a routine, have a timetable, call it what you like, but make sure you're not looking at it in isolation. You're now looking at it with your family members, your team members, your customers and your clients. Because again, remember, business will return to a little bit of normality for them. You know, as you and I know, TK, there's not much difference in our world, apart from we don't have to struggle in the car, in traffic jams, to meetings that don't start on time, pretty bad cups of tea, not very good cups of coffee. You know, I can have the cup of coffee I want, when I want it, you know, in the comfort of my own home. So I love this. I'm loving this opportunity. It's getting people to think, and a lot of people are becoming far more productive because they've got a routine.
In fact,
And indeed, you go ahead.
In fact, you mentioned about managing the team. So it's a very long subject, but I think both of us have a methodology which we can share to the world. It's difficult to share it in a small video clip like this, but if somebody is struggling and wants to know how people, you know, they can, some entrepreneur can manage their teams in during lockdown or even beyond. So Neville and myself can help you there. So please reach out to us. We will tell you ways of how to handle, because we have done it, and we are already managing our teams by using different methodologies. So we can share those methodologies with you. So I expect people to reach out to us.
Yeah, please do. I mean, we're more than happy to share, you know, what we know. I mean, we may not have seen your specific issue, because until you explain what your problem is, we're not going to give you a solution. You know, as far as we're concerned, it's a blank prescription. We're not acting like doctors. No coach will act like a doctor. A mentor will have a lot of experience in your field and perhaps can get you to the answer a lot quicker. Coaches will get you to the answer a lot quicker, but as in these times under lockdown, a coach's role is to unlock you. And until we understand what your problem is, we can't actually suggest what you might do to unlock yourself. So it's really important that you do reach out in these times, and we're always available. We'd like you to come on here, you know, and if you're feeling confident to come on a screen like this and say what your problems are, we'll happily have a discussion, a team discussion, and solve those problems. But more importantly, you've got to go do the work. You know? This is your business. This is your opportunity. We're not. There's no rocket science here. This is about, you know, you've got a blockage. It's a bit like it's a little bit like the kitchen sink is blocked. So what do? Call a plumber. You know? Alternatively, I would go and get a plunger and see if I could plunge out the sink. I'd fill the sink up and see if I could plunge the sink out using additional pressure. There are lots of things you can buy off the shelf in the supermarket that say this unblocks your sink. Well, I'd probably try that too. But ultimately, I might have to call the plumber. So the question is, you know, what stage are you? What have you tried? What have you done? If you've done nothing, trust me, you need to go and think about doing something. And if it is unblocking a sink, it's a really good phrase. It's a 21st century phrase. And I have to mention it really quietly because it's a secret. Google it. Go onto YouTube, Google it. It's crazy, isn't it? You know, the answers are out there, but we are locked, and we're almost blind to seeing the answer, and it's in front of our face. All we've got to do is ask. You know, leadership of the 1970s and 80s would say never ask, because it's showing a failing. It's showing your fragility. Only go and ask other leaders. But what if those other leaders haven't got the answer? And your team have, because they're so naive, you know, that they're saying, well, isn't it obvious? I'm sure everyone's read in their childhood The Emperor's New Clothes.
Yes.